Have you ever been in a situation where someone made a very unreasonable demand and you did not know how to push back without saying a no? Maybe your boss was asking you to work extra or work on a weekend, or for the matter, the HR offering you a lower salary than what you expected. In moments like these, there's one powerful phrase that you can use to regain control without sounding too aggressive or defensive. The phrase is, how am I supposed to do that? Yes, you heard it right. How am I supposed to do that? Let me show why this particular phrase is a game changer in negotiation and how can you use it. What is the how am I supposed to uh, do that technique all about? This technique was taught by former FBI negotiator Chris Voss. It helps you put the pressure back on the person who is making that particular demand. Instead of rejecting their request outright, you place the responsibility on that particular person to come up with a better solution. You reverse the tables. For example, your boss says we need to work on a weekend to finish this particular project. Instead of saying a no outright, respond with, how am I supposed to do that without impacting my work life balance and productivity? Now the burden is on them to justify or consider their request. So, why this works? Number one, it shifts the burden back to them. That is the person who is making the demand. They now have to think of a solution. Number two, it keeps the conversation open. You're not rejecting them outright. Third, it encourages problem solving. They must find a reasonable alternative. And fourth, it triggers empathy. It forces them to consider your situation. It is a subtle yet very powerful way to negotiate without confrontation. So, how do you use this in different situations? Say, for instance, salary negotiations. So, the HR comes and says that we can offer only 5% hike to you. You can say, how am I supposed to accept that when the industry standard is around 15% increase for this particular role? You can use it in workload management. When your manager says, I need you to take this additional project, you can respond back saying that, how can I or how am I supposed to do this without compromising the quality of my work? In client negotiation, if the client says, can you deliver this feature in half the time? You can respond back saying that, how am I supposed to do that without affecting the overall project quality? See how it forces the other person to rethink their demand. And that's the beauty of this particular phrase. So, in spite of you making this particular demand or using this particular phrase, sometimes you will feel that the person who's making the demand may come back to you or they may push you back. They may say, you need to figure it out. In that case, how do you respond back? So, if they say, I don't know, you have to figure it out, here is how exactly you can respond back. Number one, acknowledge and redirect the pressure. What you can say is, I completely understand that this is a challenge. But for us to move forward, we need a realistic approach. What options do you think we have? It makes the other person rethink. Number two, flip the question back. Help me understand how you see this working with the current resources and timeline. Again, a beautiful way of flipping it back to the person who is making the demand. The third one that is there is you can suggest a collaborative approach to that particular person. I want to make this happen, but we need to ensure that it is done right. What would you suggest as the next step? You're putting the ball back in the court of the person who is making the demand or the request. The fourth one is call out the unreasonableness of that if needed. Only if needed. I understand that this is important, but without the right resources, it's unrealistic. What's the most critical part that we can focus on first? This way, you keep control of the conversation and do not get pressured into saying a yes to something very unreasonable. So, the final takeaways: the next time someone makes a demand that makes you feel that it is unfair or unrealistic, remember, instead of just saying a no, just ask, how am I supposed to do that? It is a simple phrase, but it can completely change the dynamics of any negotiation. Try this particular technique in your next salary discussion, client negotiation, or workplace request, and watch how it shifts the conversation back in your favor. If you have found this particular thing useful, drop me a comment or let me know how you have used this particular technique in your next conversation or next negotiation. And don't forget to like, share, and follow me for more such tips and tricks with respect to leadership insights. Bye for now.